Hey guys, so back here with some cafe chat. What do you think of the new set here? This is actually just on my side yard here. I have a little cafe table set up, and this is a fence I built. But anyway, I'm trying to get the last of the natural light. It's like 7:30 Friday evening. I was out doing baseboards, helping my dad install baseboards in his place today. So kind of doing something different, but just thought I'd sit down and make a little video, check in with you guys. You know, all the time when I'm working or whatever I'm doing, I'm always thinking about, like, you know, some of the questions and comments you guys have put forth in the comment section. And somebody was asking about, you know, education, art and education and that sort of thing. And so I thought, well, this would be a good time to talk about it. So I'll just first start by saying what my education was like and how I did in school and that sort of thing. I went to school up to 8th grade back east in New Jersey. Was not a good student. I wasn't like bad, but I was not, just kind of average, you know, and didn't take really difficult classes or any of that. I would say I was probably average to maybe poor student. And then in high school, moved out to California and started high school, started 8th grade out in California, started freshman year in high school out in California, and did not do well at all. I was like really bad. Freshman, sophomore, junior year, I did kind of turn it around a little bit, almost at the end of junior year. And even though my parents are both college educated, for some reason there wasn't a lot of talk about college in my family. I'm not sure why that was. My dad was super busy because we'd moved to California, and he was just like starting a business and whatever, and I don't know, it just never really came up. But so junior year I got into this band with some guys at school, and they were all college bound. One was going to UCLA, one was going to Boulder or whatever, and they're like, hey Mike, where are you going to college? And I'm like, I don't know, community college? And they're like, what? They're like, you need to go down and talk to Miss Schneider, who is like, Mrs. Schneider, who was like the guidance counselor, and like, you've got like literally a few months left here. You could, what are your grades, or whatever. I didn't even really pay any attention to it. But anyway, I looked into it, and then I took the SAT and whatever, and got just kind of average on that or whatever. But it was enough to go to San Diego State. I applied there, and I got into San Diego State, which turns out was a good school, and it was a good experience. So I went there for 2 years, did mostly my general education, and it was a good experience for me, A, because I went away from home, so that was really cool, and lived in the dorm the first year and had that whole sort of going away at 18, independence sort of thing. And then the next year, sophomore year, I had some friends from the dorms, and we got an apartment together that was just off campus. But sort of towards the end of sophomore year of college, as I was finishing up, the GE, and like I said, I was actually doing well. I did better in college than I did in grade school and high school. And when I finally did get into college and I was going away, I decided I really wanted to apply myself and see what I could do. And I did really well. I had a good GPA. I enjoyed my classes. I worked hard. And what I didn't realize was, I thought how bad my education was, because it was clear once I was doing well in college, it was like, there was nothing wrong with me. What happened? What happened all those years, like, where you do poorly in school and you start thinking of yourself like you're an idiot, you're thinking, I'm just not smart, or I'm not gifted in this way or that or whatever. And even in my art classes or whatever, it's not like I did poorly, but it's like I enjoyed the creative classes like woodworking and art, but it's not like I stood out. In high school, I did kind of towards the end in wood shop, just because I took it every year. That was my elective, that and art. It's funny, that's what I'm doing. I'm building frames and I'm painting paintings, but it's not like I really stood out at that point, or any teacher like took me aside, or anybody for that matter. But so mainly what I'm talking about, or what I'm thinking about is like, it was interesting how my experience through school, there was something amiss there, because I obviously, by the time I got to college, had figured it out for myself and took it upon myself, to work hard and to, apply myself and everything. I realized that I was, I was a good student, actually. I could be a good student. So I don't know what happened along the way there. But anyhow, so after sophomore year, though, I started thinking to myself, what do I really want to do? Because I had to start majoring in something, and I thought, what do I want to do, you know? And I was like, do I want to be... Most people down there, my friends, were like business majors, marketing, that, you know, info systems and all that stuff. This was like early 1980s. And I just didn't feel like I wanted... I was like, what do I want to do, you know? Well, I've been playing music since I was like a kid, like 7 or 8 years old, playing guitar and singing and writing songs and stuff. Not writing songs until later, but still I thought, I want to be a musician. I want to be in bands. That's what I want to do. And so I left school after sophomore year. I moved to San Francisco, and then throughout my 20s, all the way until I was 30 years old, I played in bands, wrote music, did that whole thing. Even did a few like commercial music things, which I hated, but you know, like commercial recordings for commercial projects or whatever. But anyway, so so now fast forward, now I have a child, and things have changed as far as school goes, you know. And I noticed with my daughter, who's now 17, and she's a YouTuber. I know some of you know her, Michael Chamberlain. So, you know, I was watching how different the situation was for my daughter. So now here she is, super motivated, and all the kids, it's like are concentrating on college and where they're going to go to college, and you know, prepping for SATs and doing all this stuff. And you know, I noticed and not having a lot of time for anything. Like, I mean, I don't know, depending on how old you are, you may relate. Like when I was a kid, you know, I did my homework, but I was doing so much. There was so many other things I was doing and other interests that I was pursuing. I had a lot of time, you know. But with my daughter, I noticed that there was not a lot of time. It was like, you know, whether she was doing athletics or, you know, there was athletics, but on top of that, there was, you know, just the academic load was insane. And she was a hard worker and a good student and made like honor roll and all that stuff. Always did really, really well. But I remember towards the end of her sophomore year, which was just about a year ago, would that be? Yeah, just about a year ago. You know, she was super, you know, she talks about this in a video that she posted, so it's not like I'm, you know, betraying her, you know, secrets or anything. But, you know, she was really bummed out. She was really depressed about, you know, just the school scene and the grind and everything, and stressed out about getting into college, like, and wondering if she ever would. And I'm like, your grades are so good, like, and you're such a hard worker, like, it's not going to be a problem, you know. And regardless, like, you don't have to go to some... Anyway, there just seemed to be so much pressure and stress related to that. And it was frustrating to me as a dad, you know. And at one point, I just said to her, I was like, look, none of this makes sense. Everybody's working super hard with some vague goal out there. It's not like you know, do you know what you even want to do? And she's like, no, I have no idea what I want to do. And I'm like, and furthermore, I'm like, I asked her, I was like, have you even thought about that? Have you even thought, like, what do you want to do? What sort of career do you want to do? What kind of life do you want to have? Like, have you even taken a minute to think about that? Because if you don't understand, you know, if you don't have some sort of like idea of who you are and what kind of life would make you happy, then how can you, you know, you should figure out what that is and then take the necessary steps to get towards that goal. If you don't know what it is you want and you're just, you know, like stressing out, taking all these classes, these high math, high science classes and advanced English classes and all this stuff with this sort of vague idea, okay, well, I'll get into good college and then, you know, and then I'll graduate and then I'll get a good job. But what is that, right? What does that even mean? Do you even know, and would you be happy if, you know, so it's like, you need to take a minute here, okay, and think about what it is you want to do, and then we can figure out the way to get you there. And I remember, I mean, just the school culture and college culture is so strong that, like, I had to yell it to her, like, several times, like, you know, it just was so ingrained that she couldn't even, she just was stuck in this frantic thinking of college, working towards college, doing these classes, doing all this and this heavy load and all this. It had to be that way. There was no alternative. So anyway, so, you know, so this was the end of sophomore year, and I said, just take a moment and like, think about what you want to do, okay? You know, summer's coming up here, you know, you're not doing any athletics, just take it easy and figure out And she's like, I have no idea what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do. I'm like, it's not going to come to you overnight. I'm like, give it some time, but just explore some other interests. Who are you? What do you like doing? What makes you happy? And that stressed her out. She's like, I don't know. And free time was something that she didn't really know how to handle. So, but within a week, she told me, she's like, hey, Daddy, I think I want to make a YouTube channel. Now, I had already had my YouTube channel, but I was kind of not posting consistently. And I was like, hey, I'm doing YouTube too, so let's go for it or whatever. And I mean, totally separate. She was doing her own thing. I'm doing my own thing. But it was fun to watch her. Like, once she got into it, she got really passionate about it. And, by the time school started in fall, I think she had, I don't even know how many subscribers, like maybe close to 200,000. I was over 100,000, maybe close to 200,000, was making some income from it, from her ads and everything, and had a really great audience and lots of engagement, and things were going great, and it was a cool thing. And then the question was, okay, well, she started school, and she was going back to school, and here she was posting 3 times a week, and her edits are not like mine. My edits are fairly direct. Her edits take 10, 15, 20 hours. They're super intricate. I mean, she's a really good editor. So anyway, long story short, I was like, well, she's like, what can I do? I've got all this pressure and all these classes, and now it's junior year, and now you're really talking about prepping for college. And, but she'd been loving the whole summer. She was so happy. She was so engaged, working her ass off and getting really good at video, creating videos and everything. And like I said, even making a good income, starting to make a decent income from that. And so, it came time, school started again, and it was a question of whether she'd be able to continue doing YouTube, or if she was, would have to, quit YouTube, because she couldn't. And she thought, okay, well, I'm doing 3 days a week. I'll have to back it down to 1. And then she found that with her load, she couldn't even do 1 video, like 20 hours a week, 1 video. To film it and edit it was about 15 to 20 hours, maybe a little more. She just couldn't do it. And so she just went into this depression, because she was just like, I said to her, look, there's lots of different ways to do this. Why don't you, we talked about different options, but I was like, homeschool, or just graduate early, take the GED, and then if you ever want to go to college, you just go to college later. It's like, there's a million different ways to do this. You don't have to do it like the same way everybody else is. You now have something that you like and that you're excited about. And so I was like, and she was like, I can't leave school, I can't do the whatever. And I'm not saying leaving high school is a thing to be taken lightly. And I certainly didn't, and her mom didn't either. But, I think that you have to look at each specific person and what their needs are. And I felt like, you know what? You've got something you're working hard at. You're going to learn the life experience you'll get through this. She had started even doing, I don't think she had done any brand deals or anything like that, but just, her whole thing of she designed some merchandise, some sweatshirts and things like that. And it was a full-time job, and she was making a full-time wage, a good wage for that. She's making good money for it. So I was like, look, if nothing else, you try it, doesn't work, and then you can go to college. She'd have to go to junior college and get certain units or whatever before transferring to university, but it's not like any doors are closed, and she's a hard worker, so it wouldn't be a problem. The point is, there's a lot of different ways to get where you want to go, but you got to figure out what it is you want to do and where you want to go. I just think that I felt like Emma, my daughter, and I've seen I'm sure other kids and other parents, you may tell me in the comments what you think, but it's just like the kids have no time to figure out who they are. And so they, there's no time to figure out who they are. So they're just on this grind where they're just doing these basic classes and spending all this time and everything. And those classes may benefit if you're going into engineering or, be a doctor and all that. It's all absolutely important. But I know for me, what would have been important would have been, maybe more, I ended up doing all things like carpentry and electrical work and all that and stuff. And there's, so anyway, I know this is kind of long-winded, but I just thought I'd share my background of myself and also my child and kind of guiding her through her situation. the reality is I'm not out here saying anything is the one right way to do things. If you watch the channel, you know that's not my way of, I'm just trying to, I'm sharing the thoughts in my head, and you know, we're having a conversation about it, you know, so I'm not saying I'm right, or I don't claim to be right about anything, just sharing my honest ideas, what's going through my head, what I'm thinking about. And I really enjoy reading what you guys comment in the comments, because it's really thought-provoking for me. And like I've said before, we don't have a cafe. You know, we have no cafe to hang out in. And plus, half of us are all over the world, right? We've got, you know, people all over tuning in here. So it's like YouTube, that's our cafe. So we're having our chat here. So anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out. Apologies for this being all over the place, but let me know what you think about education, art and education, or whatever, anything, in the comments. And hopefully this fog will lift and I'll get out painting. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.